All our wholesaling 101 people, get in, sit down, drop your bags. It is hump day, and our goal is to get you over the hump in your business. If you will sound off in the chat so we know you're here, drop me a one if you've never done a deal before. Drop me a two if you're on deal two and more. And then I also want to know what markets you're coming from. So sound off and give us what market you're working in, what market you're looking at as being your market. I definitely want to know where you guys are at so we can bring you the most value. Hi, Matt. How's it going?
Great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. One, you took my last minute text and you went with flying colors. And then on top of that, you were like, yeah, this is the subject I want to bring. I know exactly what people need. And I'm just so grateful for that because I feel like I can learn a lot today too.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm super
everybody,
excited to
welcome.
share.
Yeah. What's new happening right now in your business?
Um, the funny thing is I wouldn't say it's anything new. Just going strong, just focusing on just trying to do a lot of deals in Arizona. So not necessarily anything new, but just trying to really get more consistent, do more deals, and then try and increase our spreads on deals.
That's what I love about every time. So this is the second time I think that you've been back on Wholesaling 101. And I remember because the first time we had you on, the thing that I walked away with was keyword searches in Privy. And I still am using that as one of my favorite ways to go find properties is actually just doing the keyword search. And so you're always dropping little gems. But one of the other things that you had brought up last time was that it is really about all of this consistency that you're creating in your business, this like stabilization into the foundation. And on a day to day, because for everybody here, I need you to know I bring the people I want to learn from. And Matthew is so good at what he does. And he's in a place where he's really growing his team, and he's in a place that's much higher than where I sit right now with my team. And so I'm trying to learn and grow into that position. So tell us, what does like the day to day look like? Are you mostly doing oversight of other apps?
No, I still like to do acquisitions. I still like to do dispositions. I still like to underwrite deals. So I just kind of float around to whatever is needed. So it's like if I find inventory is low, I'm gonna go and try and find some properties. If we have a bunch of deals in that need to be sold, I'm gonna go and try and sell those deals. If we have a bunch of stuff that needs to be underwritten, I'm gonna go and look at all of those. So it just kind of it's different day to day now. I still make a decent amount of calls, still going through. I just like to go through all my contacts as well and keep up with everyone, even with some relationships that I've passed on. Want to make sure everyone's been treated well. So I'll still go through and call those people. And yeah, just kind of where I'm needed in the business now.
And for Gary, whose question just popped up, he asked, what is acquisitions? Will you kind of define that set in your business and then help him
Yeah.
also understand what is dispositions and the difference?
Right. Yeah. So wholesaling is really essentially two different business models, right? Like you have acquisitions, which is going and actually finding the properties. And that can be from direct to seller, direct to agent, and then from other wholesalers. Or, and then the second part of the business is selling the deal. So that's you going and finding buyers and actually getting a cash buyer that will take on that project that you have.
Beautiful definition. And one of the big things that I always like to share on repeat, it's something I'm always going to say, is that to really get started in this business is if you're at the very, very, very beginning, you need to choose your market and then choose which direction you're coming into wholesaling from. Is it that acquisitions or is it that dispositions? Which one did you start with again?
I started more with the dispo. And I mean that's a really good point. Like whatever you do pick, I think that you should just learn to stay consistent in that thing that works. Cause like when I first started, I was like, oh man, I just sold two other wholesalers deals. Like now I should try and do agent outreach. And so then now after that, like it took me 4 months to do a deal, and then it took another couple months to do a deal after the next one, and like it just started to come in waves. Whereas like if you do one thing that works, it's like just freaking stick with that one thing that works.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you say that because it took me forever to get good at wholesaling and I'm still on my way up. But one of the big things was I would look in a lot of different directions. And even if I did get one deal done in a specific method, it would take me a while to go back to that one method. Like my very, very first deal was
Yeah.
a FISBO sign. And the next time I ever looked for a FISBOs was like 6 months later. Silly. Don't make the same mistake I did, guys. Go for what works. If you're seeing something is giving you flow and giving you energy, it's the perfect place to start. But now that you live in that acquisitions and in that dispositions world, you're seeing micro flipping start to really flourish for you, where you're playing the puzzle in a different way. Tell us what that
So
looks like.
So honestly, my first couple deals were more of like the dispo micro flip type model. And then I tried to do agent outreach. And then now, like when I was doing both for over a year and my business was literally just up and down, up and down, up and down. Then when I was like, man, I need to concentrate on one thing. And then I decided I'm going to concentrate on actually just micro flipping. And then ever since then, we've done deals every single month, and I think the lowest was probably like 2 deals in 1 month. And so then that is honestly what really helped my business like flourish was me concentrating on the one thing that I'm really good at. And so your question was what is micro flipping?
Yeah,
Or
Chris
what
actually
was
just
kind of your
asked that in
question?
the chat too. So go ahead and define it for us as to what's that difference. You're either at dispo, what's micro flipping in the middle?
So micro flipping is essentially being between an acquisition and disposition. So it's literally a small flip, like you're a middleman of two middlemen. And you can take other wholesalers' deals and sell them to another wholesaler. And so that's essentially what to the T a micro flip is. But I still define micro flipping as like a disposition model where you're going and getting another wholesaler's deal and then selling it to your buyer as well. I still call that a micro flip, but a to the
Mhm.
T micro flip is you finding a wholesaler's deal and then selling that to another wholesaler.
Perfect. Can you define some of that difference between what is traditionally a daisy chain versus what is a micro wholesale?
So, a lot of people use them one and the same. And I mean, I guess it can be considered a daisy chain. Everyone's definition is different, in my opinion, and with what I've seen. And um, what I really think daisy chaining is, because it's to me, it's like a derogatory term. It's like a negative term, Everyone's like, I
Yeah.
freaking hate daisy chainers. But so it's like the difference between a daisy chain and a micro flip is solely the communication. Like I also will find that daisy chainers like just will send out anything and that they'll go and take someone's deal without even talking to this person and letting them know like, hey, I'm gonna find a buyer for this. Like, can I help you
Hmm.
find a buyer? And they just go and do that. And then they also will go and propose themselves as the actual buyer. So then when they're like, oh, yeah, I'm the buyer. And then that wholesaler who actually has the contract is like, cool, you're ready for an assignment. And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, all right, let's put in earnest money. And then earnest money's never deposited. It's because they didn't communicate properly. And then another thing with the communication is like with a micro flip, you want to find out still as much as you can about the property because you're essentially helping this person sell the deal. And it's not going to be beneficial for you to go to a wholesaler and just shop it out if you don't know anything about it. Because some buyers are going to ask you questions or other wholesalers ask you questions. You need to know these things. And so now that's where the communication can get lost when you don't know anything about the property.
Oh, I love that explanation because that's absolutely what I would think of. And when I think of daisy chaining, it takes you into a negative. In the same way, for a lot of agents, if they hear the word wholesaling, what we're doing in the astro flipping community is we're changing that word to something that is useful in the real estate community because communication is happening throughout the entire thing. And that is so necessary, like extremely necessary when you're doing that micro flipping, is that you're telling people what's going on there and how you're adding value in the most honest way.
Yeah,
So I love that delineation because really it can be utilized in that. But daisy chaining really does mean I'm not communicating to you and I'm holding something up as I pass this down the line.
right. Exactly.
Everybody, if you're just now joining, if you're just getting in the room, this is Wholesaling 101, and we have the fabulous Matt Justice here today. We're going to be really focusing and honing in on the idea of micro flipping, what that looks like in a day to day, and how to use our all time favorite software to do that. Today, we're focused in Privy like we always are. It's my all time favorite, even as an agent and a wholesaler. If you don't have it, I highly suggest you just go grab it now so that you can follow along and utilize it with us throughout the next hour. You can use the one of my favorite last names, Damji. And if you use that as the code, you're going to get 30% off the annual plan or 20% off your first month if you go that route. Before we jump into kind of breaking down a little bit more of your day to day in that micro flipping role, I want to show people what's going on in Privy when they first pull it up so nobody's confused.
Cool.
And so
What's your
you said
first favorite last name?
it's right because it's my husband's and now mine. Um, all right, let's see. Everybody, if you're coming in and let's say you've got a property pulled up, just a reminder that privy coverage over here on the left-hand side, that's what's going to reset your map for you. So if you click that, you should be looking at what I'm looking at right now. And a reminder that as you're choosing and looking for your market, and just in case you didn't catch it, Arizona is Matt Justice's. So if you want to partner with him or work with him, Arizona is the place to do it. And you can see that there is plenty of blue there. And what that means is that there's MLS coverage and that's connected direct to MLS, giving you a lot more data. So if you're utilizing Privy and you're still choosing your market, I highly suggest you choose somewhere that's blue. That's going to give you a lot more information. And you can dive in straight from there. And what we're going to be looking at is what kind of activity is in any given area. Let's go ahead and look at Arizona. Woohoo. Not New Mexico. Arizona, ideally. The computer's decided where it's headed. Funny enough, New Mexico keeps like slipping into my awareness as maybe somewhere
I've
one
been
day
hearing
to
good
snag as
things.
a market. Would you ever move outside of Arizona and take on a second market, or what are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah, 100%. I want my business to get to a certain point though before I start to branch out into other areas.
When that happens, will you come back to Wholesaling 101 and tell us what that moment is that you realized you needed to expand into a second market?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'll let everyone
Please.
know.
Okay, good. So what we're looking at right now, everybody, is activity. And so where I'm going to follow is where the most activity is happening. And I'm just going to continue to zoom in there to see what's happening. And the numbers even change to give that to you. So right now I'm looking at somewhere around 577 fix and flip activities, and that's giving me buyer information. Now, if I want to see deals that are currently active that are similar to that, all I've got to do is hit the pretty green button. It's going to flip it over to things that I might be able to give an offer on. That alone is a reason to have privy. That is all the information you need to know, is be able to see where there's a lot of market activity and then be able to switch over to what's happening on the market that you can actually offer on. Boom. But I want to know more on how Matt integrates this into his business every day. So you said you're kind of jumping around. So we can't say like every day you approach Privy in the same way. But what are some of the standouts as to how this supports and helps your business?
Yeah, so honestly, we use it. Privy is a phenomenal software. Like you can literally run your entire business off of Privy. Like it helps you find on-market properties, which is going to be one of the quickest ways for you to get your first deal. And then you can go and literally find buyers on it. So we really utilize it a lot for buyer outreach. And we also will go, I have my acquisition team. One of the first things that they do in the day is they go and look at Privy and they'll go and make offers and call on properties that are listed on the MLS.
I love that. Okay, so you've got a whole team that's looking at things like this, pulling them up, seeing if they're worth adding value to, and then giving the agent a call. And guys, if
Yeah.
you've never seen a property card like this, just an understanding of the layout, all the information you need is up in the top right corner. And then you're automatically going to get whatever photos are on the MLS, especially if you're working in an MLS connected area. And then you can jump and click comparables right here. That's going to pull up what it's showing as sold in the area. We've got 19 solds, 2 are possible investments, and you can continue to use this settings on the left-hand side to search and dive in and find if this is the right property to then give the agent a call. So it's really that simple on using Privy. And if you don't have it, I don't know what you're doing. Please use the last name Damji. Get yourself that 30% off the annual plan or 20% off the first month if you don't have this. Now, one thing I've noticed is that every time I jump into Privy, especially with somebody new, I find like weird little things of data that I would never even consider ways of using. And Benson is like king of this. He's always showing me those little moments. But one in particular that I'm curious if it's going to connect to this micro flipping is that you can see when something has double closed quickly. And so if you're noticing those things, are you seeing a flag that says this might be a wholesaler that I could work with?
Yeah, 100%. That's if you're going to use tax records to find wholesalers, that's the way to do it. Like the way.
Let's see if I can find one relatively quickly so that anybody that doesn't really know what I'm talking about can see. I want to search for all the surrounded areas. I want single family. Let's stick to just single family for now. And then the thing that I think might be the ticket on the search of finding this quickly is going to be cash buyer.
Let's try it out.
Let's try it out. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the experiment. We are seeing if we can also find wholesalers within the data involved with flippers. So to get to that data, I'm going to go to public records and then property history. And I'm looking for cash sales that have happened quickly. So here I'm not seeing that, and that's probably because we're looking at active. So let's change that and actually look at solds.
You never
There
know,
you
an
go, guys.
active could still potentially show. Just because there are, it would be a more experienced wholesaler that would take down a property and then go and list it on the market. So that is still a possibility.
True, but maybe more of a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm I'm going rogue. I'm just zooming into specific areas to see what we can find. And then, ooh, okay, let's do our sold timeline as a little bit. Days on market, no. Where's our sold date? Date range. Today, please. All right. I let that be a really large window, but see what we can find. Sorry, y'all are on my rural internet today. You got to go at my pace. I'm going to change the sort results to more recent. And let's click on this one to see who we find. Seeing a previous sale is already giving me the note that, okay, we might be talking about a flip. That's the step in the right direction. So here we see that they bought, and it was off market, just under public records. They bought for 205 way back in 2010 and then sold in 2023. So probably not a flip. Good to know. Let's give it one more filter. We will get there. would you go with repaired or renovated? Or if I wanted to make sure and see sold things that flipped, what are your buyers putting in their MLS descriptions?
Um,
Renovated.
remodeled. I would put
Hmm.
remodeled.
That's how you spell it.
See if that works.
I still do this. You taught this on the first one is how to just don't hit enter. And I still am like, ah. Okay, there we go. We'll
Yeah,
take
there
it.
you go.
Modeled indeed. Let's give a click. 1998. Nope. Zoom out a little. And tell me a little bit more if you are not going this like long-winded route, how are you finding other wholesalers?
So there's really a couple ways that you can find other wholesalers. One is Facebook. But the key is not just looking at people that are just posting in Facebook groups. Facebook groups are phenomenal to find wholesalers. And when a lot of people are learning,
Mm.
a lot of people tell them, hey, go join Facebook groups, go join communities and stuff like that. And so not only are you going to try and network with the people that are posting, because majority of those people are active somehow in the business, um, but you want to go and actually just try and connect with every single person you can in the group. So we'll go into a Facebook group and go and look at the members and just friend request as many people as we can in a day, and then go and shoot them all a message, just trying to connect with them and see if they have properties that they're trying to sell. That's probably our number
Love
one
that.
source of wholesalers is Facebook groups. Um, and then our number two source is literally just looking up sell my house cash, blah, blah, blah market. And
Mm.
so a lot of those people, especially if they have sponsored ads, that means that they're doing PPC. So they're obviously spending money to market, right? And so those people have to be doing deals because they're spending money. So we'll just go and call them and be like, hey, look, I'm not trying to sell a property, but I just wanted to connect with you. I'm a wholesaler in the market, or I'm flipping in the market, whatever you guys do, and I'm just trying to connect. You want to see if you have anything in inventory right now that we could take a look at. So those are really
That's
the two
incredible.
big sources for wholesalers. And also stuff like
Now,
this.
yeah, I think I finally ended up in the right section. So hopefully you all have been able to kind of follow around because really I am experimenting to try to find the kind of data that can feed me some wholesalers. And I believe that we will today for sure. Um, but what you're stating is what anybody would have to do, whether they were doing agent outreach or MLS outreach or anything like that, they still have to reach out to people and get on the phone and ask, who are you and what are you doing? um, I think that's a really nice reminder that no matter who you're choosing as strategy, like outreach is so important.
Yeah, you got to talk to people some way. It doesn't matter how, like my first two deals I did solely through text message because I was scared to get on the phone. And so, um, but I mean, it shows that you can still do it. But I realized too, though, that when I got on the phone, we started to do more volume. So, you're going to build better connections getting on the phone with people, but it is still possible. Like there's a wholesaler that I do deals with in town. And we are probably doing anywhere from like 3 to 4 with this wholesaler alone. And I've talked to him on the phone once, and we've been doing deals now for the last like 6 months.
Wow. How are you vetting that? Are you just straight up asking how many deals have you done, or how are you kind of finding out where people are along their wholesaling journey and how you plug in?
So I mean, it depends on the person. A lot of the times, like you'll know, like to be honest, very busy people are not gonna hop on the phone with you. It's just they'd much rather communicate through text because they're doing other things at the same time. Um, for very, very busy people. Um,
Mm.
and like if you do need to get on the phone with them, it's most likely you call them and they say, I'll call you back. And then they call you back in like an hour or something like that, because they're doing other things. But I mean, yeah, if it depends on the person. People that are newer into the industry typically will share like, yeah, I'm just getting started. Or you can ask like, oh, how long have you been doing this? If they're like, I've been doing it for 3+ years, that they're most likely doing a decent amount unless they've kind of been up and down. But especially if you get on the phone with them pretty quickly, that's something that people typically just spill out.
That's that's wonderful. I am really, really pleased with this search in what it's given me in terms of buyers. Every one that I have clicked on, I have seen an LLC name that I could reach out to and would be a potential buyer. What I haven't seen, and for anybody that's confused on what I'm looking for, is two LLC names for what would be considered a pretty quick pass to whoever that final flipper was. So everybody grab your pens. This is the filter that is a fantastic one for finding buyers. I did single family, sold, fix and flip. Right now I have ARV at 75%. For those that are tuning in Arizona, what would you tell them they should set this to specifically?
For searching for
75 feel good to
properties
you?
or searching for
Yeah.
buyers?
Searching for buyers.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Just get like you could do a hundred
Okay.
percent as long as there's an LLC on there, like you're gonna connect to someone that's serious.
Okay,
And that's
cool.
the point.
So 75% is perfectly good. You guys can move this to almost whatever you need for your particular market. And then I've selected a date range in the last 3 years, just so that I'm hopefully reaching out to somebody that's still active. If you're actively going after those buyers that you want to work with right now, I might even shorten that, but that is like 2022. Um, and then run your search, y'all. You're gonna find a list that's just like what I'm looking at. And it's got quite a few buyers in it.
So something that I like to do when searching for buyers is a lot of the times I don't like to grab all the data at once. So typically, like, I mean, we're in February right now, so I'll look for sold stuff year to date. So from literally
Mm.
January 2024 to today, and try and find those people because they've obviously recently have just sold a property. Most of them do not have a big pipeline, like majority of the buyers. So if they just sold something, that means that they're going to need to find something pretty quickly. They want to go and place their cash now into a new property. And so then if I don't get the results I like, then I'll start to move the dates back. But I like to first narrow it down to try and find buyers that are hungry today.
All right, let's do exactly that. Let's make those dates a little bit shorter just in the last couple months. And just a reminder, I didn't say this before, I use the keyword remodeled. So we're also looking at anybody that's decided in the listing of the flipped property to utilize that keyword. So if I removed that, I would also be looking at sales that maybe didn't choose to use that word. So play with it and find what's giving you guys a good pull. Oh, so all right. We just went from how many people have flipped in this particular area in 2 years down to 2 months. And now we can see the most active sold players. And you're so right, Matt. That means that they're probably hungry looking for their next move.
Yeah. And another reason like I love Privy too is because you can look for active properties that look like this. And if that property is active, you can call that agent and say, hey, is your client looking for another flip? Like we have one under contract. And now you know that this person that has an active property probably again does not have something lined up for when this one closes. So they're definitely looking for a property. So you don't also want to exclude active remodeled properties.
Oh, that's so good. Many of my buyers are agents themselves, or they have really wonderful investors that I'm happy to work them into a deal to be able to work with. And I think many people here, they're coming from the act place, and that's a good thing to narrow down. But when you're reaching out to agents and reaching out to agents, if one of them goes, yeah, but you probably should put me down for cash buying too. I'm looking for this, this, and this. There's so many ways to bring synergy and be able to work with the people that you're contacting and having conversations with. So this
Exactly.
one, I think I found it. I think I found it. This is first off, just popping in here, I can see it is a really beautiful flip that it did sell on the MLS and it sold on the MLS for 367. And that was in 2023, right towards the end of the summer. And then when they resold at 560, that's 66% of ARV is where they bought. And that already is giving me just excitement because I'm like, ooh, this is somebody I'd want to work with. 66%, that's pretty solid. And is that for you? Is that get you excited as somebody to work with? Because I am also bringing a Colorado mindset here to Arizona for the first time.
Arizona trades a little higher. It depends on the area and the property. Like really hot areas, um, that's just straight cosmetic can honestly sell anywhere from 75 to possibly 80%. So
Ooh,
it depends on where the condition, and overall market condition. But still, I'm down to work
absolutely.
with anyone.
So I'm interested as to whether this pass that happened from LLC to the final flipper, if this is a holding company or whether that is a wholesaler who worked with the seller to get it, since there's no previous info. But would that be an LLC name that's worth reaching out to?
Yeah, always.
Cool. Let's make it happen. For anybody that is new here on our dispo process on taking that information and making it into a number, I'm going to kind of talk through what I'm doing, but we don't want to just throw numbers about on the internet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open corporates.com. And after I open corporates and I take this LLC name in, the next thing I'm going to be doing is looking for a owner name or so it's called an agent of the company's name. And then I'm taking that over to True People Search. I'm curious though, that's my process for a one-off. What would you do in this scenario, Matt?
Yeah, same thing. I'm looking for the members of the LLC because the members are the owners. And so I'm looking to see who's the owner of the LLC, and then same thing, yeah, take them to True People Search, or if information doesn't come up, then I'll go to Fast People Search, which is exactly the same thing. Sometimes they just have a little bit different data, and then yeah, give them a call.
Perfect. So I was that quickly. If I just put in Black Arrow Capital, I'm going to get a bunch of them. Delaware, California, Florida, etc. But using my noggin, I just put in that I want the jurisdiction of Arizona. That pulls up only one LLC, and then I see exactly that, an agent name. And that is on opencorporates.com. So truepeoplesearch.com. Drop in this name. I'm also going to search in Arizona only. All right. Pulls up one person. Fabulous. Thank goodness this person has a relatively unique name. And I then scroll down for phone numbers. I see a wireless number that is possible primary phone. So I'm going to drop that over to you in the chat. And then I'll pull this back up so you can see the property that they sold ugly at some point.
Cool. So
Guys,
this is
if Matt's
their
bringing you value and you are excited about the things that you're learning here today, will you just give him a little love in the chat for me? I really appreciate it. I haven't been able to follow along in the chat while I've been driving Privy, but I want to know that y'all are learning something.
Do you have a name?
Yes, I'm sure you need that. His name is James.
Okay, cool.
Guys, we're getting Matt Justice on the
Hello,
phone today.
Hey, James.
this is James.
Hey, my name is Matt. I was just looking through tax records and saw that it looked like you double closed on a property. Do you wholesale in Arizona?
Yeah, I'm the attorney for that.
Oh, you're an attorney
The attorney for that.
for that LLC? Oh, okay. Well, sorry about that.
Yeah, you good. Have a good one. Yeah,
You
bye.
too. Bye. Darn.
But I do think that that is one of the more scary things that maybe you could ever end up on the other phone as a lawyer. And it's just easy peasy to go, oh, sorry, it took some time for your day. You have a wonderful
Yeah.
one. All right, let's keep looking. Now, if somebody is thinking, you know what, what's probably the best fit for me is I know wholesalers on both sides, and that's the world I live in. And I'm really interested in entering into the micro flipping game. What are some of the things that they should be considering in even that approach in general?
Um, I think that a big thing is honesty. You know, when someone asks, "Are you a wholesaler?" Like, don't be like, "Oh, no, I'm not." Like, yeah, I freaking wholesale. We do deals. Like, let's do some deals together. Why haven't we been connected? Like, how can we make some money together? You know, what do you focus on? Cool. This is what I focus on in my business. And you can figure out, with micro flips, it's really cool because you could place people into what they're really good at and place yourself in the middle. And so there's a lot of wholesalers that'll focus on direct to seller or even just direct to agent, where there are other wholesalers that you'll meet too that are only focusing on selling deals. And so now you can place this person as an acquisition wholesaler, and this person you go and follow up with for properties, and then this person you go and follow up with to sell your deals. So, honestly, you just need to be very straight up and honest with what you're doing.
Okay, I really appreciate that. I mean, having coming from a place of honesty, I think is the only way to function in in this business because it's coming with your name. It's coming with who you are. And to be able to continue to play with these players, you've got to tell them the truth right from the beginning as to where you're adding value. And so, if somebody's just like, oh, are you a wholesaler? How how do you respond? Let's just kind of like role play it
Yeah,
where I
so
just picked up and I was like, look,
I actually was just about to touch on that too. It's like, look, you need to know your value. If someone doesn't want to work with me, that's completely fine. I'm not the one missing out. You know, I know we're doing deals. And if you want to be a part of that, that's great. If you don't, by all means, that's fine with me. But again, like I'm not gonna lie, so if people are like, hey, I don't work with wholesalers, okay, no problem. We don't have to work together. But I do also want to let you know, like, we wholesaled a bunch of deals last year, but I actually am starting to look for my first property. So like if you still do want to send me stuff, you can, but I'm not gonna go and shop out anything without getting your permission. Obviously, if I think I have someone that would be interested in this property. So I'll let them know that too.
okay. I have on this one property, and I'm really curious what your thoughts are, because I think in an ideal world, you would see one more sell before this kind of transaction, an LLC to an LLC, based off even the call we just had. It's like, okay, I maybe ideally there's another sale here first to that LLC and then a quick over. Do you want to try to call this one though and thought experiment and see if we land with an attorney again?
Yeah, yeah, I'm down. I'm down
We'll
to
do
call
the
an attorney.
experimenting for you, y'all. All right, give me 2 seconds. I've got a couple of different addresses for this one. Just a reminder, that's opencorporates.com that I'm doing this little search in, and I am looking for an agent's name. Oh, just found
So
one.
to be honest, I this LLC, Salt River Equity, if that's the one that you're trying to skip trace, I've
Hmm.
tried to get in touch with this person so many times and we've had no luck. But I'm down to
Okay.
try and give it another shot. But I've tried a
No,
bunch.
no need to, but that's kind of the beauty of it. If you know your market, and I have this too, like there's some major players in Colorado, you'll see their names pop up all the time, and you have to kind of find them or approach them differently because they're such a large entity that they're able to hide. Do you want to know what my favorite way of finding them is though?
How?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the way when it comes to those larger
Yes.
companies because somebody is super proud they work at that company. And I just need to find the person that's super proud they work at that company so that when I reach out and I'm like, I admire this company so much. I've been looking for ways of adding value. Is there a way that, we could work together? I've got a few properties right now. And then normally they'll be either the connector to the right person or they'll message me back on LinkedIn telling me they're the right person. But I look for words like acquisitions, director, manager, those kinds of things associated with that LLC anywhere in LinkedIn. Covert way of doing it.
Yeah, that's super smart. Need to start doing that.
So it looks like Jose from YouTube, thank you for being here, by the way, Jose, asked as a micro flipper, what type of distressed properties should I look for? Which I think is a great time to just talk about underwriting in general as a micro flipper.
Yeah, so I mean, we love all distressed properties. When I see a distressed property, I know I'm in the right place. You know, ugly houses equal big checks, as Brent Daniels always says. So, the uglier, the better. But obviously, too, right? Like it needs to be priced right. Like we're not gonna go and try and sell poop to someone, because that's just. But some people I will say this though. The thing is some people may be looking for something exactly like that and would still buy it for some specific reason. Like for example, there was a time that we sold a property that was honestly extremely high. Like it was around like 80% in an area that typically trades at like 70%. And a buyer was like, "Hey, I need a property in this area." So I sent it to him and he was like, "I'll take it." And I was like, "Whoa, that's really crazy." And I asked him why, and it's because he owned a restaurant literally a block away and he needed a place to go and store materials in for his restaurant. And so people will buy for very specific reasons. And I think a big thing too with micro flipping is like, yeah, you don't want to send out super high deals all the time because then people will stop looking at your deals, but if
Mm.
someone is looking for that property exactly to the T, but the price may be off, I will still send it to that buyer and be like, let me know what you think. And then if they're like, oh, it's too high, okay, cool, like what makes this a deal for you? What price do you need to be at? Because I know this is something that they like. And then if they're like, I'm at 500K and I sent it to him at 570 or something, then I'll go back to the wholesaler and be like, hey, I just got a really low offer. Buyer's good to go. This is exactly what he's looking for. He's at 500K. Like, do you think we can make anything work?
Mm.
But I
And
still underwrite the deal first.
that is the most important part is because that you understand your market well enough that you can have those conversations with another act and be gracious. It's not like you got this at the wrong number, but here's where a buyer is willing to actually pick up. You're adding so much value in that scenario because the more that an act can collect numbers, they're starting to put that together to go, okay, look, I just got 6 numbers that are lower than where I'm currently sitting. All of that is fuel to go back and get a retrade, like really truly proving to the seller, like, hey, this is where this is going to trade at. If you don't want to waste your time anymore, this is what's happening. And you went out and you did all that footwork, all that legwork to actually nail down what that is. And I think, like, if anybody's like, how do I bring value in that micro flipping role? It's because you know people that your other wholesaling buddies don't.
Yes. Honestly, I found too that a lot of people that do like direct to seller or even agent outreach, like that's what they focus on. So it's like where I'm adding value to you is you can go and focus on that then you can bring me the deal and I will sell it for you. And you can go and focus now and get another one and not have to worry that your deal is going to get sold. So even if we're JVing or in 50-50 in the deal, like, yeah, we may be taking less profit on it both ways, but now both of us can do a lot more deals together, which in the year will probably make a lot more money than if you were to go and focus on, one end of the spectrum. And if I were to go and focus on both ends of the spectrum.
Guys, I hope you have your notebook out. I hope you've been writing some things down.
It's another thing too that I would really like to know is if you are focused on acquisition, like it is phenomenal to utilize someone that is a disposition wholesaler because they have, hundreds of thousands of buyers in that area. So you can go and ask them for an opinion and be like, hey, where do I need to be on this? Where do you think you have buyers at? And now they can also go and give you a number fairly quickly because you know that they have someone that's ready for it. And then you can go and get that offer. And then now you give it back to them and they'll go and sell it. And then now you can go and get another one and not have to focus on going and also trying to sell the deal.
Staying focused in this game, especially as you're working on your upward track to stability, is all about focus and not letting yourself be like, well, maybe that'll get me there faster. Make a decision and put in the work for 90 days straight. It's I've seen Matt do it. I got to be a baby wholesaler as he was out there talking to the Astro fam more and more often. And I saw him put in those days. And look at him now, where he's got a much larger group of people that he gets to work with, not only in other companies that he's micro flipping between, but in his own company. As people are looking at you just like I do and are like, this guy's cool. I need more Matt Justice in my life. How can people partner with you? How do you like receiving interest in working with you?
I will drop my Instagram name. Instagram
Mhm.
is probably one of the best ways to get a hold of me, and it's just at Matthew Justice 22. I put it in the chat. I work all of Arizona. It doesn't matter where in Arizona. Um, we do Tucson, Phoenix Metro. It really doesn't matter. But Instagram will be the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. I did see another great question from Yar Ellis, one of my favorites. And she put in here, how do you get info that you need to underwrite without necessarily like walking a property? And I think that's coming from a lot of ACK people are protecting the deal that they have. And like, how do you kind of get past that and let them know that you're somebody that's worth working with and actually get all the details and info?
So for me to just underwrite the deal and see is this even something that I would want to put in front of my buyers? All I really need is just address and pictures. If I can't find Bed Bath square feet year build on Privy or Zillow or tax records or any of those things that I'll try and look at to actually comp the property, then I will need those things too. But really, all you need is just address and pictures to actually go and be like, okay, is this a deal? And then for you to go and also when you go to sell it to someone else, you will want to get close of escrow. How do you get into the property? And then who is title with? Or it's a what is the other state's attorney? Who's the attorney with?
Attorney.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
whatever state you're in, Arizona is a title officer. So you'll want to go and get those three things before you actually go and sell the deal. And then if you can get any more information about like roof, HVAC, actual condition, like anything wrong with the property, you want to go and get that information too. But with people that are more reluctant on sending you an address or sending you pictures, um, it's like at the end of the day, like, how do you think you're gonna sell this deal if you're not willing to share the address? Like I can't tell you if I like this thing at all if I can't get the address, you know?
Yeah. I same. If you can't give me the address, I don't care if you're an agent or a wholesaler, then there's nothing I can do for you until that point. Get back to me when
Yeah.
you are ready to share the address.
Yeah.
Um, and when you do, and I just want to remind everybody that when you do get one of those deals, the easiest way to comp is on Privy. If you rewatch this episode on me just clicking around Privy, you're going to see I passed at least 6 buyers, LLC names that just kept popping up that had flips. And those are the kinds of people that you put into open corporates, and then you do true people search, and then you make connections with buyers so that you can bring value to those act people. And then all of a sudden, you'll find yourself in a position where you can either be that micro flipper or you can be the disposition side of things. But if you don't have Privy, it's going to make comping so much harder. You're going to be in multiple tabs trying to find what's sold around on Zillow or something like that. And I don't want to see you lose that time, because the quicker you can filter through something, the better off you are going to be in both your time and energy. And this game is completely about just filtering through properties to see if there's something that you can add value to. And Privy is the way to do it, which is why we have that promo code DAMG for you. If you utilize that, that gets you to 30% off the annual or 20% off the first month. Now, before we get out of here, I'm curious, are you going to be at Squat Up Summit?
I am going to be at Squad Up Summit.
That was the answer I was hoping for. Oh, you give such great hugs, and I just cannot wait to actually see you in person again. Um, Everybody, if you are not coming to Squat Up Summit, I feel sad. I really do. Honestly, because you are a part of this Wholesaling 101 family, this class, I really do see your names and I look out for you in the chat as to how you're growing and getting better. And the more you can be in those rooms with the people like Matt, the better off you're going to soak in that energy, and you are going to become it as well. So we want to see you in that room. We want to give you hugs. We want to celebrate you, or we want to give you the tips that are going to push you in the right direction. And it's not just me and Matt. It's like 4,000 of us.
Yes.
So please go and register and join this. And I'm stoked for it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, something I want to add too is like if you're looking to micro flip, this is the room that you want to be in. There's going to be wholesalers that focus on finding buyers, wholesalers that focus on bringing deals to the table, and then you're also going to network with other buyers and possibly some lenders if you do want to become a buyer at some point. So this is Squad Up Summit's definitely the place that you'll want to be.
And you and I, we met at summer camp for the first time in person. And I felt like that was the first time I'd always had an awareness of you. But the first time that we actually got to look at each other and connect and talk about business. And it was the flip, at least on my side, it was the flip between this is somebody I admire to, oh, this is somebody that's my friend. This is somebody I'd hang out with and go snowboarding with. So having more of that is what you need in your life. You need that synergy of people that are out there cheering for you and wanting to work with you. And Matt sent me deals in Colorado, and I send Matt deals if I hear of any in Arizona. And that kind of synergy it happens in microcosms in these chats. It happens in moments where Matt and I are just texting back and forth about life in general. But getting in the game and getting in that room to start so that you can switch all of these people who you're seeing join us in Wholesaling 101 that you look up to, they're going to be in that room and you're going to realize they're just people. They're just cool people that you can get to know, and hang out with in the future and do more deals with. And I want to see you guys there. And we dropped the link right there. So right now you can go, you can jump in and you can sign up for Squad Up Summit so that you reserve yourself a hug from Matt Justice.
Big bear hugs all
Make sure
around.
right? Make sure you use the code Astro if you're doing that, just so you reserve your ticket on the Astro side of things. We want to know that you're coming from us and our family. And I mean, we're coming right towards the end of our day. I feel like we have dropped so many different ways that people can approach and be a part of this business. But is there anything on your heart, anything that you've been learning in your business that you want to share with our class before we go?
Sure. A couple things. One, the reason why I love the micro flip model is because you actually don't need to be direct on either end of the spectrum. And that's not a bad thing. To not be direct. It's really not. Like buyers will be like, "Oh, you're not direct on this. Like, I don't want to work with you." The thing is you got to know the value that you provide. Like, you're the one providing the deals to all these buyers and vice versa to the wholesaler. And so there's so many limiting beliefs, I feel like, when getting into that micro flip model, and all of them are not true. Like, people will want to work with you because they want to work with you. It doesn't matter how. They want to work with you because they like you. Some people just aren't going to want to work with you. And at the end of the day, it is what it is. But the number one thing that is going to get deals done is consistency. Like, you just got to keep doing it and showing up even on the days that you don't want to. If you're not showing up, then you're not being consistent, which is just going to make it very hard for you to end up becoming consistent. Energy, energy moves and flows, and if you stop it, then it's harder to get back into it. So as long as you just show up every day, I promise you, you guys will end up getting deals, but you just need to show up and actually get started. And that's it.
And show up tomorrow and show up the day after that. And when you're on day 10 and you don't want to show up anymore, you're going to show up on that day too. And you're going to have all of us cheering for you, even on that day where it feels a little bit slower, because you'll get over that hump and you'll start to see it return and reciprocate into your life energetically, first in people and then in money. So, um, man, I felt like somebody had Pedro, he had dropped just a reminder to everybody that if you are the lucky ones that are going to Squad Up Summit, to soak it all up and make sure that you're coming healthy and happy and hydrated, because it is a whirlwind of hugs and learning and meeting new people. But the thing I want to remind Pedro is keep coming back to Wholesaling 101 too, because we're not just going to go learn stuff and not share it. We go learn stuff and then we share it. So no doubt Matt and I will be back here even after Squad Up Summit talking about how much fun it was and all the things we learned. So thank you, class. You guys are my favorite. This is the best part of my week. I honestly look forward to it. And I'm seriously cheering you all on to your first deal or to the many, many that come after. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week and we'll see y'all soon. Thank you, Matthew, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.